Hello and welcome to another episode of Castaway Anime. I'm your host, Crunchy Bagels.
And I'm Neon Manta.
And we're back here today with the cutest goddamn show of the season, with a cute pink-haired telepath, an adorable white dog that you just want to have lay in your lap, and a child being traumatized by a gang of terrorists. We're back with Spy Family.
I think two of those things were the same thing.
I mean, they're both cute, but it's got a cute telepath, adorable white dog. They're different. Just different levels
I was
of
gonna.
cute.
I thought you said cute pink-haired girl and a girl that gets traumatized.
Well, yeah, they're the same person, but...
I was gonna say those are two of the same
My
thing.
first intro and I'm already being criticized to death.
Well, we're back with the second part. I was gonna say season. Can't say season. It's the part of Spy X Family.
Honestly, I'm never gonna not say season. I'm probably gonna call it season 2.
Season 2 is gonna actually get announced, and then we're gonna look like jackasses.
I don't care. I'll call season 2 season 3. I don't even care.
He's gone full rogue. He's gone full rebel.
You know, the worst part of this show is the naming scheme. Unironically, nothing pisses me off more than calling it Core 2 or Part 2. Yada yada. I don't care.
I thought you were gonna, when you said naming scheme, I thought you were gonna talk about the X and Spy X Family. Are you on team pronouncing the X, or are you on team just say Spy Family?
See, it's weird because I go back and forth
between... It's the Hunter
between...
situation.
Yeah, I go back and forth between saying Spy Family and Spy X Family, but I honestly think it sounds way better with the X. Whereas if you say Hunter X Hunter, I'm gonna shove you into a locker.
Yeah. And remember, if you enjoyed the podcast, please be sure to hit the like button, head on down to the comments to let us know what you think of the show, and finally, subscribe to the channel for more episodes of Castaway Anime and other videos. So now we're here with part 2. It's been 6 months since the end of part 1?
That sounds about right.
And we're only covering the first 6 episodes that are out. I think the 7th episode of part 2 just came out at the time of recording. But...
Yeah, I was very tempted to watch it, but I was like, I wouldn't be able to talk about it, though.
Such is the curse of watching shows for the podcast.
It is a curse.
I have a sneaking suspicion that this one's gonna be one of the more shorter episodes of the Castaway Anime podcast.
Honestly, even though I love this show to bits, as you already know, this block of episodes in particular has very little to talk about in terms of the first 3 episodes I think have a fair bit, and then after that, I think we're gonna sort of run out of things to talk about. Because it is
the first 3 episodes are kind of their own arc, but then after those 3 episodes, we just go back into kind of episodic, self-contained stories.
I guess I'll start the podcast with this. I think it's really interesting how the score of part 2 has declined from part 1. And it's not a significant decline, mind you. Alright, so on Mal, it's 8.73 for the first part, and then 8.65 for the second part. And on ANYList, it's a bit more dramatic, with, I think, 87% for the first part, and 85% for the second part. But it is still, considering this is the second...
A 2% difference isn't what I would call dramatic.
Well, yeah, it's not, did I say dramatic? I don't know, it's not... If I did, that's a flub. It's not a dramatic decline, but it is noticeable and especially interesting considering it's the second season. And before I actually watched the block of episodes, I was like, that's interesting. A little weird. Why is that? And after watching the block of episodes, I think I get it. I don't agree with it, but I get it. Because these block of episodes, what it felt like to me was the plot is in the first 3 episodes of just tackling the overarching plot. in probably the best way the show has, and then after that, it becomes a slice of life. Probably the most slice of lifey this show has ever felt. Which, of course, it is a slice of life. That's to be expected, but it is very episodic after that point.
I have only 2 pages worth of notes, double space, mind you, on Word, if only for visibility, at 16-point font. And literally all my notes on episode 4, I have one sentence.
Holy hell. Okay, I have 3 pages of notes, which still isn't that many, and there are a few images of things I screen capped, but I was also using 11-point font, so not nearly as bad.
Well, you padded your stats with the pictures.
Yeah, but it's
But
11-point font.
well, doesn't that mean you wrote down more than?
Here, you know what? Check words.
I have
625.
250.
Okay, so I wrote like 3 times as much.
Yeah, like 2.5 times.
Give or take, roughly.
Yeah, it's a good show. It's just after that arc, it's just it's situated back into a comfy little niche for itself.
Yeah, that is how I would put it, and even more so than because the first season did have its slice of life moments. I forget exactly what episode this is. I think 10 with the dodgeball tournament, where yeah, that's like pure, or maybe it was 11. I don't know. I don't remember the exact episodes.
Well,
but
the dodgeball episode.
yeah, where that episode didn't really have much to do with any of the plot, but it was still fun. Yeah. But for the most part, season 1 felt like it had definitely more of a continuous, I guess, plot related through line to it, where even if it would just go into a dodgeball tournament, and even if episode 12 was kinda, if you really think about it, just sort of tacked on and not really relevant to the plot at all, uh, even with that, it still felt more like we're constantly building towards something. And I think a big part of that is that they just have yet to introduce all the characters. And so, it's continuously establishing new aspects of the world. Whereas this, very, very episodic after the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, I wanted to note that she shows up in the ED, some gray-haired woman. I think from the Mal character pages, her name is Flora something. I think it's Flora, and we're halfway through the show with this part of the show, and she hasn't shown up yet. So, but I think Yuri showed up in the second half, right?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so maybe they're just taking their time again.
Yeah, I did notice that. And another thing I noticed is that she has the same sort of sharp eyes as Loid Forger. That's interesting. Maybe a cousin? Maybe he's like the fucking
Maybe she's
Yuri.
the Femme Twilight.
Femme Twilight, yeah. We do get Daybreak in this block of episodes, but
I'm a big Daybreak stan. He's a good boy. He's a goofy boy.
I have a feeling she's probably related to Loid Forger biologically in some way, and is sort of like the Yuri for Loid in essence.
Did Loid not establish that he has no family?
I know.
I know.
I know it was established that he doesn't have parents, or like his parents are dead.
Yeah, his. Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I'm actually not entirely sure if it was established that he had no family outright. And even if it was established, considering how similar their eyes look, I'm willing to bet that if they established that beforehand, it's probably going to just be a family member he didn't know about. But that is speculation.
Yeah, let's talk about the episodes that were actually what happened. We had a little bit we entered the Bond arc, the Bond bombing arc.
Yeah, so we're finally getting back to that after episode 12 sort of brought us entirely away from that, and I have a feeling that was adapted non-chronologically. But honestly, going back to episode 1, right? So there was a fair bit of time between season 1 and season 2, and some of my hype had dissipated, but god damn it, when I clicked back on that first episode, instant serotonin. I was like, oh, I remember why I like this show so much. Just sitting with the family as they begin their day. Just being with these characters is to me so fun and so instantly joy-inducing. And
Yeah, it's a pleasant sensation just to watch them interact. Anya is as cute as a button as she's always been, maybe even cuter now. Yours still the klutzy ditz who, when she gets serious, is the most unstoppable force of nature on the planet. And Loid is as cool and trying his hardest to keep things together as always.
something that actually, while we're on the note of how this episode begins, this block of episodes is when I really began to notice the show's OST, which has always been good, but this episode is like part of the reason why it was so instantly serotonin inducing is because it has this very relaxing, mellow OST behind it. That's also
You like
like,
jazz?
yeah, there is a lot of jazz like stuff in this OST as well. And but for this opening scene where we're just sitting with the family before we inevitably get to the child trauma, it's got like this very nice, pleasant OST, and I'm like, this is doing things to my brain. This is making me very happy.
Yeah, the production values across the board are as high as they've been in the first season. I still spotted some CG crowd, so
That is
I'm
something
still
we'll probably get back
smacking
to.
the rulers with the knuckles. But yeah, I will say from the episodes compared to what I remember from the first part, they've been used more sparingly, and they've been more scarce
I
to show
actually,
up.
I had the opposite note. I thought they were
Okay, maybe I
using
just
it.
wasn't paying attention.
So
Because I thought
I guess I'll
I
sort
didn't
of.
notice. I didn't start noticing them until the second episode of this block, which would have been
There were
episode
some.
14.
I think was there. Okay, I don't have any notes about it in episode 1. So yeah, it does start. Yeah, my first note for episode 2 is CG pedestrians frowny face. So, but what I noticed for this block was that they had a tendency to, I guess, not cover it up as well, where there are some shots where literally all the pedestrians are CG, when it's like an establishing or background shot. And in some cases, in episode 2, where Anya's at like the clock tower or whatever, trying to figure out what the hell to do, there are some CG pedestrians in that scene as well, but it was generally handled a little better, where it's like some of the pedestrians are 2D and they're always the ones that are closest to the camera and that you'll notice most readily. But then, if you've seen as much anime as we have, your eyes start darting back to the, very back throngs of the crowd, and you're like, oh, yeah, they did use CG. It's just, instead of being the first thing you notice, it's this, like, second or third thing you notice.
I feel like it's been a running theme in the podcast to always take a note out to whenever we see CG crowd shots in an anime.
Yeah, because it's always sort of a disappointing thing to see unfold. The most disappointing part about the production values for this block in particular is the car chase scene between Loid and the terrorist. And granted, this is a bit more excusable than the crowds because it's like, oh,
Yeah, well,
you got
with cars, I give a pass to because those are more complex 3D images.
yeah, it's like it's more understandable to me, but to have this big car chase scene and then like I'd excuse it entirely if it was like, oh, when the camera's pulled back it's CG, like okay, fair enough. I understand that. But admittedly, it is a little jank to see this like high octane action scene when the camera gets really, really close to the cars and it's CG. And it's like, I understand it, but I'm not gonna pretend like it ain't a little disappointing. At least in that specific context. I am one of those people
The
who's generally okay with CG cars, but in an action scene, I want to see the budget go up, the production values really go as hard as they can.
I found the action surrounding the chase scenes to be impressive, particularly I think the one shot from that chase scene in particular when the terrorist was getting shot at by the other spies. He throws a grenade out the car, and it blows up the other car. I thought that was pretty nice. Like if that was like an ugly ass green screen explosion effect, like that would kill the scene.
Well, yeah, obviously. And I am still happy to say, because even though I was ragging on the car chase scene a little bit, it did not kill the scene for me. Like, as always with the production values of this show, it's always very consistent. That's what I would describe it as, where it's like, typically...
the character art is beautiful.
Yeah. It's like, aside from, obviously, everyone talks about episode 5 of the first season, which just went all out, and obviously the dodgeball sequence as well, which had some of the most creative directing in the entire show. But generally speaking, the show does not put all of its budget into a single scene. It is very consistent with divvying it out, which, in the anime industry, when you have limited time and limited resources, that is, at least in my opinion, the manner of distributing the budget that gives you the best result. Where, you avoid the usual stuff where it's like, oh, the first 2 episodes look really good, and then it goes to shit. Or even in Call of the Night, where it's like, oh, the first 2 episodes look amazing, and then the latter half
tapers off.
The rest of the show is purely carried on a visual level by its directing, instead of the animation quality. And Spy Family consistently is able to avoid that, where even, like, if CG crowds are the price
to pay... That's the power
of
Wit with the backing of CloverWorks.
It's like, even, I'll never stop ragging on the CG, but if that's the price we pay for such a consistently well-animated show, you know what? Fair enough, I'm willing to pay that price, because this looks way better than most anime.
Yeah, Wit still remains the among the top tier of studios when it comes to keeping their shows consistently good-looking.
Yeah, and while we're on the topic of production values, what I noticed about this block of episodes in particular, I have an endless stream of screen caps of just every fucking face any of the characters made, because they're all really, really engaging and funny. There are so many delightful expressions in this block of episodes. And
yeah, the expression work in this whole series has been really good. I made note of what is episode 5 / episode 17 of this block, which the school one where Anya had to make all the paper project for her class.
I have so many fucking screen caps. For
I noticed that in the most. There were a good number of Anya faces in that one.
But even before that, where we have, like in episode 2 of this block, if I recall correctly, where Anya, so Yor is, chasing after Anya and finds her in this alley with the terrorist, and the terrorist has got his dog, and the terrorist sicks the dog on her to, like, intimidate Yor, and then Yor just gives the most...
aggressive,
the best
demonic
expression. She
snarl.
turns into a demon. I have the screen cap up right now. It is so good. It is like when the dog cowers back. Yeah, I would too. It's such a perfect expression. It's so scary. Even Anya is terrified looking at it. Like, what possessed mom? That is what's going through her mind right now. It's such a good expression.
It terrifies Anya.
Yeah, and that's, I think, what keeps this show, like, I think the biggest thing that keeps this show visually engaging. Obviously, it's nice that it has smooth animation that is, it's continually, pretty nice looking and pretty smooth. There's never any big budget drops. But those expressions, man, like, one of my big issues with the show is when the characters do not emote, that they barely make any facial expressions at all. It's normally just stock template expressions. Spy Family is the exact opposite of this, where at any given point in the show, there's just a range of wholly unique, super fun expressions, and the production values and the studios nail it each time.
Like, even Loid, who is supposed to be like the straight-laced, almost always serious one, is able to, give some very threatening looks, some very goofy looks sometimes. And
That
it
was one of
all
the most
feels like it's
surprising
within his
things.
character.
Yeah. I have a surprising amount of even Lloyd's screen caps where like I think this is episode 5, but I'm not entirely sure, where the one guy, I actually forget his name, but he's like trying to hit
Frankie?
on, yeah,
Oh no,
Frankie's
that was
trying to
episode 4.
episode 4, okay.
Yeah,
But
where he's like,
Lloyd
I'll
has
sell
so
your
many
secrets to the secret police, and he just like slowly turns around, gives him the fucking death glare.
Yeah, oh, that particular moment was so good. And all the scenes where Lloyd is just slowly getting fed up with Frankie's shit, just giving the most hilarious expressions. That's what I like to see.
The humor in this show is very it's I was gonna say most of the time it's subtle. It very rarely goes for like like big goofy like expression of comedy all at once. Like, it'll do it occasionally. Like, the biggest example I can think of is like all of the times Yuri will just go through physical acts of pain and suffering just to compliment Yor and her cooking. But there's also moments like I think one of my favorite jokes is Sylvia, who gets more screen time in this block of episodes, is like admiring how nice the coat she bought as a disguise is, and is meeting with Loid. It's like, all right, here's the briefing for your next mission, and Lloyd's like, I can't do it. I can't tell my handler, my boss, the Full Metal Lady, that she forgot to take the price tag off of her new coat.
That was, yeah, what you were saying about it being subtle, I definitely agree, where it's like, honestly, half the comedy is just the expressions, and also small punchlines like that. Normally in places where you wouldn't expect them to. This show is very consistently chuckle-worthy. One of my favorites is when Anya's... Okay, so she's trying to get on Damien's good side for basically for the mission that Loid has to do. And she, in her infinite wisdom, decides, I'm gonna help Damien make this griffin for the school projects. And the expression she gives, she thinks she is such a saint. She is like radiating this heavenly aura with the most benevolent, I think that's the right word, benevolent smile.
Yeah.
And she just, as she extends her hand toward Damien,
I will help you, Damien. I love Anya's a joy to watch as always. All to her wildly misplaced confidence, her only to get like slapped back with reality every time. Even though she has one of the most overpowered abilities in all of anime, to be able to read the thoughts of others in a medium where people are always having inner monologues.
Something I noticed is that smug Anya, right? At first, like when you see the first episode it's introduced, at least my small fear was that, well, at first I didn't think the
They'd run it into
expression
the
would,
ground.
yeah, that was a fear I had. But something interesting about this block of episodes is that Anya has a very similar expression whenever she's feeling smug, but it's slightly different each time. And it's like, ooh, that sells it.
I
I'm
adore
looking
the
through.
oh no, I dropped my very cool photo of my awesome dog. I dropped my monster condom for my magnum dog.
No. The shot when Anya's like first walking onto the school grounds with her plan to show Damien her cool dog. She has like this mix of sinister and smug on her face with like dark circles under her eyes and like this evil aura surrounding her
It's
as
a
she
lot
gives
of
this maniacal smirk.
There's a lot of good faces in episode 5.
Every single expression in this show is just a joy. And
Speaking of expressions in production, we got new opening and new ending.
dude, the opening, all right, so I saw the opening before I had even watched the show, and at first I was like, it's a clip selection. And at first I was feeling a bit iffy about that, and I do still prefer the first OP, but god damn it, these are like the most well done, smoothly animated, beautiful clips ever, and if they had to go with clip selection, this was the way to do it.
I want to. I know what you mean by calling it clip selection.
Oh
it's
yeah,
a
it's not like
montage
from the
sequence,
show.
Yeah, no, it's not like a. It only comes to mind because the first thing I can think of, like Nagatoro OP, where it literally is just clips from the show, just put with a filter put over it.
Oh yeah, like
these are all original and beautifully animated.
They are way smoother than the actual show. And
the lighting goes crazy.
Oh yeah, some of those like the shot with Yor in the autumn backgrounds,
very good.
Shot.
I need that one framed up on the wall where she's the hair all tucked into her scarf and she gives that smile. Ugh.
The one with her lying down on all the leaves and flowers with her hair down. I'm looking at the opening little, right now for reference. And
she's swinging her needle, her thorn in the falling flowers and leaves, and she catches one at the tip of the thorn. Ooh, that's the good stuff.
Another shot I like is Loid like sitting posed on the train, but it's like the camera's sort of down low, and the train has this fisheye lens filter applied to it, and it looks really cool. Even if it is one of the less moving shots of the OP, I think it looks badass. And then the one right after where Anya's putting all the bubbles everywhere. It's just a great OP in general.
Yeah, Bump of Chicken knocked it out of the park as they usually do because they're a good band.
I'm not actually huge on the song. I think it's alright. But the ending, I absolutely love the ending.
I honestly think if this OP is not as good as the last one, I think this ED is better than the last one.
I absolutely agree, because
it's got the cool continuous shot of the apartment where they just change the scene every time by rotating to like a new corner of the room. That's creative.
Yeah, so most of the ED is just the Forger family, as well as some other people like Yuri and the mystery silver-haired girl. And also Frankie. They're just sitting around, I think Frankie's in it. And they're just sitting around the house, and it cuts to them making a meal together, which is just pure serotonin. Frankie is in there. It just so perfectly encapsulates the homey vibes of the show in a way that, like, this right here is the kind of stuff you feel nostalgic for, like, 5 years later when you're like, oh yeah, I remember the Spy X Family Season 2 ending. That was the greatest, most joyful thing ever.
It took me a few watches to realize that I know who this artist is. It's Yama, and they did the ED for King's Ranking of Kings, which I don't remember that much because I've still only seen the first episode of Ranking of Kings. I know it's a tragedy, but this next show isn't from what I've heard very good. The opening theme for it, I think, is like astounding. Do you remember 2.43? It was like a volleyball anime. It came out winter of 2021.
I don't actually remember that at all. Oh, wait, okay, so I'm looking at the OP for that right now. Just looked it up.
Yeah, this was pre Castaway Anime podcast, so this is before our recorded history.
Yeah, I don't
But
think I saw this, yeah.
yeah, but if you listen to the song, that song goes in. It's got like whole crazy trumpet section, the chorus, and the Yama herself. The well, I don't want to be talking out my ass here and conflate, like, I don't know if Yama is the singer or the band. I'm looking at her profile right now, and I think it just looks like it's a singer, not a band. The lead, let's call it the lead vocalist. She's like going in, and while she isn't going like as hard as she is in this ED for Spy X Family, it was great to be like, it's her. I recognize her. That I love how, like, the more you watch anime and the more you follow Japanese bands, like when they do shows that you like, or even if they do just more shows, you're like, oh, I know these guys.
See, I barely pay attention to music, so I don't have those revelations.
Yeah, you're telling me you don't buy the
Nope.
openings and the endings when they come available on like iTunes or whatever, and put them
I
on your
don't
phone
even
to listen
use
to,
iTunes.
or
I just
whatever
I
your
literally
music
listen
listening
to
app
all
is, Spotify,
I,
whatever.
I literally use YouTube. I have a playlist on YouTube with all the songs I like on it, and I just go through that.
You don't even like rip them off YouTube and like download them to your phone.
Nope. I do
That's
download them to my
crazy.
computer sometimes, but not my phone.
That's crazy. What if you're in a place without Wi-Fi?
Normally, I have my laptop with me.
That's insane behavior to me.
You mean you've talked to me on the podcast for this long and haven't realized I'm insane?
Well, this is just normal human behavior. Like literally everyone has music on their phone.
I don't. I barely use my phone.
Insanity, absolute insanity. Bond, the dog. How do we feel about the dog?
I, although we don't know much about his personality other than his backstory and that he's a good boy who protects Anya, I think the most interesting part of Bond, and I imagine we'll see more of this later in the show, because the first 3 episodes gave us, gave us a taste of it and made me very intrigued by it. Where Bond is essentially just a way for Anya to be more plot relevant and to be able to do more. Because what Bond's whole thing is that he can see brief glimpses into the future. We're not entirely clear on how it works or what what dictates what he's able to see into the future. As far as we're aware, it's just random flashes in his head, and because Anya can mind read, those images get transplanted into her head as well. And so Bond, I imagine the show will leave it a little ambiguous as to what exactly he can see and what he can't see, so that the plot can sort of just have whatever it needs to flash into his mind, essentially, which, a little cheap,
Convenient.
but fair enough. Like, I don't have a huge issue with that, even if it is convenient. But it's essentially a way for Anya to be able to tell that something is about to happen and then act on it in her bumbling, childlike, normally impossibly stupid way. And yeah, it makes her more proactive and able to do more, and I enjoy that about her and about Bond as well, and how the show seems to be, adding more ways for her to insert herself into the conflict.
Yeah, I love how I appreciate that Bond is a big dog. He's a real big heckin' big boy, because I am a firm believer in big dog supremacy. All dogs are great, small dogs are cute, but big dogs are where it's at. That's just more dog to hug.
Well, we all know the real reason why he's a big dog. It's so that Anya can charge onto the battlefield atop Bond.
That is a very adorable scene, and just as adorable as when she's like, "That all right, Bond, with your power to see the future and my ability to read minds, we'll be able to save the day, and I'll become Starlight Anya once again." And then doesn't realize that Bond's just been running in circles the whole time. Like,
That is
wait a
probably
second.
that might be the hardest I laughed at this show because it's so well timed and paced. Where it's like it's this inspiring moment, then boom, just Bond's an idiot too. Although he's less of an idiot than most dogs.
I suppose
his whole backstory is that he's part of a bunch of dogs who were genetically modified in order to be smarter than the average dog. So he has a very limited understanding of human speech, as far as I can tell, where and it's not entirely clear how much he knows, but what we do know is that he is smarter than the average dog.
And a well-trained,
yeah,
made for
seemingly
the military might.
Yeah, seemingly has more emotional intelligence than the average dog.
Although he connects with Anya almost immediately, and is saves children from falling signs.
Yeah, and so it's not entirely clear how smart he is, but it seems to be ever so slight. So he's still a dumb dog at the end of the day, but
and then Bond is involved in this big plot by this group of college student terrorists who, they couldn't hack it with their studies. They spend too much time smoking weed and watching Rick and Morty late at night. So now their only plan left in life is to ensure a war between the two countries.
Yeah, they're I think Westalis supremacists, or no, Ostania supremacists. I get the two confused all the time for whatever reason, but they're the supremacists.
They don't give you. We don't spend too much time in Ostania like ever.
Yeah. Okay, so they're Ostania supremacists, I think, and they want to essentially assassinate the prime minister of Westalis in order to basically send the country into chaos, have Ostania take this opportunity to go to war, overtake the entire country, become a big boy country, and be more powerful for it. And Loid obviously ain't about that. So he's out there doing spy work, trying to stop the terrorism from happening. And he's got all his buddies with him, taking on all the baddies, capturing people from the group. I do like the scene.
Big.
Go
ahead.
Okay, I guess I'll go ahead. Where I do like the scene where they're interrogating the one guy, and he's like, "I'll never tell you anything," and then Loid goes into his disguise and acts like he's been. He basically disguises himself as the leader of the group. Keith is his name. And
he pretends to sell his boy out, and so he sells him out even harder.
Yeah, I definitely liked that scene.
Yeah, there's more of a spotlight put on Sylvia as well, which I appreciate, because I think when she's all dressed up in her witch attire, I think she might be like probably the best design in the whole show, the best character design.
I'm not entirely sure which is the best design, but hers is absolutely up there.
I think she has my favorite like fashion sense, or at least my favorite costume design, because like when she's even out of her witch gear and she's like in her street gear, even all her various disguises, like she's very attractive.
I'll definitely give you that. Her costume design is chef's kiss.
Your gives her some competition, but like, come on, dude.
Honestly, I'm just sucker for girls in witch attire. I think that's the big thing.
She's a spy with a big witch's hat. It's just cool. But then, with some help from Anya and Bond to prevent a bombing from happening, Lloyd's able to catch the big bad college student, put an end to his terroristic ways, and then the Forgers are able to adopt Bond. She names him after the cartoon that she loves, and then he's a new member of the family, of the Forger family.
Yeah, I also love Anya's super silly. I know we're backtracking a little bit, but I love her super silly thought process behind trying to. Alright, so essentially, she's, by the way, metal heavy scene where Anya literally sees in Bond's head Loid dying and her mourning that. That's gonna traumatize her.
That's why she had
That's
to work real hard to stop it.
Yeah, and her way of stopping it is to go into the tower that Loid is going to be at in the future. And she crawls into this little flap way high up. I think it's yeah.
A window?
Window. And she basically is like, I'm gonna disarm the bomb like they do in the TV shows. And then she's like, wait, I don't know how to disarm a bomb. Then she's like, wait, you just cut
Wait
the blue and red
I'm
wire.
literally 4.
Wait, oh, you just do the thing with the red and blue wire. Oh no, they're all black. All the wires are black. How can I do this?
TV lied to me.
Her idea is to put a message in ketchup saying vaguely saying don't open the door. And her eyes, it's like, oh, it's written in blood. That's gonna scare them off. And Lloyd's like, instantly smells the ketchup and is like, did someone write ketchup there?
And the other spies are like, what is that, like an eggplant? What is that code for? Oh, it was supposed to be a bomb? Really?
Yeah, Lloyd, him upon seeing that is like, something's fishy here, and stops his co-worker just in the nick of time from opening the door and getting done blown up. And he looks into the window and is like, oh, there's a bomb. So Anya, despite her bumbling idiocy, does save the day and does stop the nightmare scenario from happening. Also, I can't believe we skipped over this. Yor is relevant to the plot in the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, she's taken a slightly more active role. She in the best possible way for Spy X Family, where she does not directly insert herself into the terrorist conflict because they're terrorists. She inserts themselves because in her mind she thinks that there's so many perverted kidnappers out and they'll like sell you into like marriage early, into like human trafficking. And then she sees the terrorists harassing Anya. She kicks the shit out of him. It's like, my daughter's too young to get married, god damn it. You'll never get her chastity.
I love how she says, I got married just last year. She's too young for this. God, any scene of Yor having like the rage of a mother protecting Anya is pure Kino. Literally the best thing ever put to screen. And even though Yor is unwittingly contributing to the plot, it's still nice that, like, in the end, she's literally the one to literally punch Keith. Yeah,
she
sees Keith
She
again.
sees him, like, coming in the car, and as he's swerving, she, like, does a roundhouse kick and kicks the side of the car, so while it's spinning out, she, like, applies even more force to it to force it off the road and into a lamppost.
Yeah, no, you're underselling this, because she literally jumps off of an overpass, and to Keith, it's like she just fell from the sky in front of him, and then just literally punts that car into the side of the road, and then calls the police. And I also love how, this is a small thing, but Yor's actions of calling the West Alice police gets the secret police involved, or not the West Alice police. Or yeah, it is the West Alice. Austanian police,
well,
yeah.
She's calling the Austadian police, but then the secret police are also out on patrol.
Yeah, because she doesn't know anything about the secret police. Well, I think she knows of their existence,
Well,
but
yeah, she knows they exist, but she doesn't know like Yuri is a part of it.
yeah. And I love how the secret police getting involved then makes it harder for Loid and the rest of the spies to stay around because it's like, oh, we can't really operate as brazenly with the secret police snooping around trying to cover everything up. Which, small detail, but I like it. And I like how,
It
even though
adds
it is.
layers.
Huh? Yeah,
I said it adds layers.
yeah. And even though, once again, Yora's unwittingly being part of the plot, I feel like this is the point of the story where it very much feels like Tatsuya Endo has realized that Yor doesn't have, like, that she needs more screen time, essentially. And so Endo was like, okay, I'm gonna make what is, at least in my opinion, from a plot standpoint, the best constructed arc of the show so far, where every single family member has a roughly even amount of screen time, even if Anya is getting a lot of the spotlight with her going around with Bond and testing out his new powers in order to demo those to the audience. But every single family member has a part, be it intentional or unintentional, and each family member's actions affects the other, and it's all really well done in my opinion. Like, this is probably the best from a pure narrative standpoint, the best we've seen so far.
Yeah, but we had our problems with Yor from the end of the last part where we didn't see she didn't have too much stake in the narrative as we'd like, and she's getting more of that. I'm still a little upset that we're not seeing more of her assassin life. They tease it in the 4th episode, but then we see it's about her cooking instead rather than her work as an assassin. And like, yeah, all the goofy assassin bits that we get are funny, but uh it feels like we get to see so much of Loid's spy work and Anya's student life that Yor ends up getting can't help but feel like she's getting shafted.
Yeah, I definitely still agree with that, and I at least hope we'll get more of that in this season. Because, I mean, it's season. Well, still technically season 1, but fuck you, season 2. It's season
We're
2.
nearly 20 episodes into this series and Yor still feels like she's doesn't have equal billing in a show with 3 main characters.
Well, I feel like this block of episodes is way better about it than the first season was. Because obviously, the first half of this block of episodes, even if it isn't assassin work, and even if we want assassin work, she's still having an effect on the narrative. And then the second half of the this block of episodes, no one really is doing anything plot relevant, and it's all doing like one-off episodic comedic bits with each and every character in the cast. And Yor does get a very significant, yeah, I think it's like most of episode 4 in order to learn to cook, which is giving her more screen time. I just hope that in the other block of episodes of this core, it's a season. I hope that in the second half of this block, or second half of this core, that she'll get actual spy work to do, or not
It
spy
seems
work,
like
assassin work.
she is going to get a spotlight put on her in the very next episode, the 7th episode of the block, where she's I think she's like supposed to be following Anya for whatever reason.
I didn't.
It's already out by the
Not
time
gonna
it's
lie.
recording.
Yeah, I haven't seen that episode, but not gonna lie, I didn't even watch the episode preview, so I have no idea what happens in it.
I would just like in a show about where everyone has a double life. I would like to see the double life of one of our characters, and not just her, and not just have it come out in her home life because that happens with all the other characters.
That is a fair complaint, and I do agree with it.
Well, I think the last thing to talk about is I love uh the last thing to talk about is like the last 2 episodes about with Damien and the test, but the one thing I want to note is that I love how it is canon and like the there's like an after credit scene in episode 5. I love that it's canon that Yor's cooking and her slaps have canonically built Yuri's body up since childhood to withstand exhaustion and pain far beyond a normal human being.
I saw that and that was fucking incredible. Oh god. Yeah, imagine living
Yor
with
literally
Yor.
built him different.
Imagine living with Yor as your One-san. That sounds like torture. Bliss, but also torture.
See, the worst part about that, she were my sister, I wouldn't be able to fuck her. But that's not gonna stop Yuri.
So the final 3 episodes of this block, they're very, very episodic, and I can imagine some people being like, well, hold on, I want more forward momentum in the spy stuff and the narrative, and Anya getting more Stellas, I think they're called. And
yeah.
Personally though, as a slice of life fan, this is like peak slice of life to me. Every episode of this is like almost like a self-contained narrative, and it's very well done. As well as focusing a little more on Sylvia, I think her name is, and also Frankie.
Mm-hmm.
They have their own subplots where Frankie's trying to get a girl, which is super endearing, and
he's too fucking ugly.
and he gets like super drunk at a bar about it, but Loid, even though he denies it, even though he's like, oh, I don't feel any emotion, he's still there for Frankie, and he's like, oh yeah, you can have those drinks on me, buddy. I'm here for you. Even if he's being super tsundere about it. Of the 3 episodic episodes, my favorite was probably episode 5, where Anya's at school trying to get on Damien's good side, and so he helps him with a project. And this has the scene where Damien says, God damn it, in English, which is incredible. And I think it's in response to hearing that Anya was his partner.
Yeah, it was.
Which is even better.
I especially love like the whole big punchline with the whole at the end of this whole papercraft project where they like Damien's like, I'm gonna build my family crest and make my dad notice me, and Anya keeps what's the word I'm wasting resources by making all these ugly additions to the griffin that they're making, and so like he's got no choice but to like use what he has, and just maybe if he has to hold the L, so be it. But then he and Anya end up getting the top prize for their work, because they see the griffin as like, oh, it's like even in this like time of turmoil and war, the griffin will stay like standing strong even though it's been damaged, and like the corpse of its child next to it, and it's supposed to be Bond.
Oh god, that punchline is amazing. This entire episode is filled with so many funny moments, like Becky Blackbell's absurd crush on Loid.
Becky wants to fuck Anya's dad.
I wouldn't put it exactly that way, but yeah, you're right. Shown with like the most over the top animation and directing possible, and then the amazing moment where like her crush makes it so that she, for the school project, makes Loid, and then Mr. Elegant is like, bro, that's not an animal, you were supposed to make an animal, and Becky Blackbell is like, but aren't humans animals when you get down to it?
Base.
And he's like, oh my lord, you're right. And then the second he walks away, Becky's like, but you know, calling Loid an animal would just be treason. And so she literally destroys it. And it's like, I'll make something else, because, you know, that'd be an insult to Loid.
Yeah, Becky is a very good side character. Probably my favorite side character in the show. She's very goofy. I love the playful teasing she does of Anya, and I was gonna say, fuck, fuck me. I was gonna
Oh,
say that the relation, like the almost sisterly relationship, where she'll act haughty around her, but also be able to haughty and teasy, but also be her friend when it matters the most. Like she'll defend her from Damon and his cronies.
yeah, Becky Black Belt is great, and yet another reason why all the best, like all the, I'd say probably the best parts of the show are Anya going to school and doing all sorts of school stuff and trying her best to navigate this system and, get on Damien's good side and trying to get good grades so that she doesn't fail the mission. I especially love at the end of episode 6 where she's happy because she didn't get a Tonatrus bolt. Like, she just
Yeah,
barely got away from
ranked
failing.
like sub 2. Yeah, she's ranked sub 200 in her school, but was still and like got like 30s on all her tests, but was still like, hey, I may have like did really bad, but I didn't do so bad that I failed. I didn't do so bad that I got any bolts. I didn't get any Stella, but I'm improving. We did not hit the worst case scenario.
Yeah, everything with Anya doing the school stuff is amazing. Want to talk about Daybreak while we're at it. Want to
Yeah,
talk about
Daybreak. I hope he becomes I really hope he's not a one-off. I hope he becomes
I think
a recurring character.
will be recurring because like, first of all, it's just too good not to make him recurring, and second of all, like, it feels like that's the direction the show is going, where he's going to show up as like a bumbling distraction every few missions or so. God, he's so good because
He's doing all these goofy cartwheels and head rolls to sneak in. Apparently, he was hired by someone, presumably either against the Desmond family or what I think is more likely from the Desmond family, to make them out to make their scores worse and get them to fail. But and then like he named himself Dave, but he's not even like an official spy. He just heard about the legendary spy Twilight, who has rumored to be infiltrated within Austania. So he's like, oh yeah, he's the Twilight of the West. Well, I'll be the Daybreak of the East, and we'll see. I'll be an even greater spy than Twilight. And he has no fucking idea what he's doing, or like he's writing like all the mission notes on his hand. He's no idea what like the actual like hardships of being a spy, and like actually insulting Twilight every time he sees him fucking up. He's like, I'm my life is insulted by him existing.
see, the thing about Daybreak is that he is physically strong. Like, he is way stronger and more athletic than the average person. Literally, grabs onto a street post while keeping his body completely horizontal somehow in order to avoid detection, which shouldn't have worked. And Twilight's like, how is he not caught yet? But it's like,
When he snuck up behind Twilight and hit him in the back of the head, do you think Twilight let him do that, or was he actually just caught off guard?
I imagine Twilight probably let him do that and was like, as a teacher, I have to act like I don't know what he's doing, right? And just
That makes more sense.
Yeah. Although what doesn't make sense is, admittedly, this is a small complaint, but Loid, alright, so to set the scene, he's steadily getting more and more fed up with Daybreak, just making what he sees as a complete mockery of being a spy, and he's like so comically incompetent. And so Daybreak he's altering the grades on the paper, then he's about to sign his name on the paper saying Daybreak because he wants notoriety for being a spy. And Loid,
And it causes Twilight to break character.
Yeah, he's so like, oh my lord, how are you this stupid? That he's like, wait, don't sign the paper. What are you doing? When he's pretending to be unconscious at this point in time. And admittedly, it's like, I get it. It's a funny scene. It's supposed to be comedic. But at the same time, it's like, the top spy of Westalis should have more self-control than that.
Hey man, when you're faced with the Hercule Satan of the Spy X Family universe, a man can only be pushed so far before his profession is made a mockery of.
But yeah, Daybreak is like one of the most instantly funny and endearing characters I've seen. He's so immediate, just this chuny larper of a spy. And like this amazing distraction where one of like the mission should be easy as shit for Loid. But instead, there's this guy who's so bad that if he gets caught, all of a sudden people are going to be, looking out for more cronies. And it's like, Loid has to take him into account as a part of the mission and make sure he doesn't fail so that Loid can actually get in to change the papers. It's amazing.
I am now struggling to think of anything else to say.
Well, I guess I'll talk about episode
everything.
4 a little bit more since we sort of glossed over it. Where
What
this
is
is
there to talk about?
a little bit, which is that this is essentially Yor's episode of the latter half of this block where she's trying to get better at cooking. And first of all, it's just funny. These like the comical trials and tribulations Yuri went through in order to not disappoint his sister back in the day when he was like eating her cooking. And yeah, it's just fun to see Yor trying to improve herself. I especially love, I know it's a little disappointing that it didn't show any actual assassin work, but honestly, like, at the beginning of the episode, it was going very hard into trying to convince you that, like, she's about to assassinate someone. And it has, like, all the horror sound effects, and it's a bit over the top, and I was like, oof, wait, is that really where they're gonna go with the whole assassin stuff? But when
They were going so hard with it that I knew that they weren't actually going to see assassin stuff. I knew it was just gonna be like it was gonna be a bait and switch.
Yeah, as a bait and switch, it's very effective. And so, like, I'm actually glad that it went that direction. And yeah, it's just a fun episode all around, even if it is not about assassin work. I think it's like these latter 3 episodes are just peak slice of life. I also I love
I didn't
the
have
joke.
any notes about the
One last
bit.
thing. Yeah, one last thing about the episode, which is I love how Loid, yeah, to set the scene, Yor's been coming home later and later each night. And every time she comes back home, there's a bunch of cuts on her hands. And Lloyd sees that and thinks she's literally depressed about to commit suicide. But he's like, oh, I guess it's her business, but oof. Which, dark, but hilarious.
I did not pick up on that at all. I thought he was just like suspicious of her.
I mean, what other conclusion is he supposed to draw from literally he says in his head, every time she comes home, there's cuts on her hand. Like what other thing is he drawing from that?
Well, I don't think he like thought that she was suicidal specifically.
Well, no, he doesn't
does
monologue
explicitly
that.
say I know he says something along the lines of we don't try to like dive into each other's private lives too much. But like there's already a precedent that Loid tried to observe and like follow Yor around and try to spy on her, but now he just trusts her.
Yeah.
So I didn't get the impression that he thought she was suicidal.
I mean, maybe I'm reading into it too much.
Just a little sus.
But I mean, I think that's the way funnier way to interpret it, and that's how I did. So
you're right, Crunchy. It is funny to think someone has suicidal thoughts or tendencies.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, whenever I see someone that's going through it, I'm just like, lol, just don't.
Yeah, exactly. You've got my
No-
mental state down completely.
It's all in your head, idiot. Just feel better.
Yeah, that's what I tell my friends all the time.
And they're like, thanks, Crunchy.
Yeah, for some reason they just keep leaving me. They just keep blocking my Discord. I don't know why.
I have to keep making new Discord accounts and be like, hey, why'd you block my old Discord account? All I told you is that your depression's all in your head, bro.
Yeah, and then they block me again for some reason. I don't understand.
They keep leaving these really meanly worded comments directed towards me. I'm just trying to help them.
I mean, hey, a friend in need is a friend indeed. And
Scars build character.
yeah,
Even when
exactly.
they're self-inflicted. I think it's gone a little too far now. We have run out of things to talk about Spy X Family. We have resorted to making fun of depression. projecting.
God, that definitely won't haunt us in our futures. But anyway, yeah, overall, although this block of episodes is very slice of lifey overall, I'm a slice of life fan, and so far I don't think the show has gone down in quality at all.
I feel like it's like, I'm sure. Well, hearing you say that, I know it still sounds like a 10 out of 10 in your eyes. To me,
yeah.
I have the same sentiment, just like with my own frame of reference of how good the show is overall. Like sitting around an 8 out of 10, it's still around that 8 out of 10 quality, and it has not dipped. It has not like plummeted, but I feel like this might just be an instance of this particular block of episodes happens to be the least interesting of the 3 now that we've done so far. So hopefully the 4th one, the next one, the end of the part 2 of the season, is a little more exciting, a little juicier.
I mean, the thing for me that makes Spy Family so good, which it's that it's just a fun show to sit in, to where it's like, no matter what adventure these characters are going through, as long as it's not absolutely abhorrent, I'm pretty much down for it. Unless the show just takes forever and like starts to become pure slice of life with zero plot development, then I'll be raising a few eyebrows. But considering the first half of this block was very plot focused, and in my opinion the best plot stuff we've gotten so far, it's like having the second half be there to sort of decompress you and show a bunch of cute slice of life shenanigans. It's like, that's perfectly fine in my book. I, in fact, had a great time with all of the episodes and thought that it was all very, very good. Mucho nice. I'm glad the production values still seem to be pretty high. Things are still animated smoothly. You've got probably the funniest expressions in the series so far. And overall, just very, like, all of these slice of life episodes are some of the funniest in the show so far, in my opinion.
I will say I am surprised that it's able to still, well, not too surprised, just a little surprised that's still able to coexist in the popular zeitgeist in the same season as Chainsaw Man and Bleach. It has not gotten lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, it still seems to be holding on strong. And in my opinion, I mean, granted, I am not watching the current episodes of Bleach, but so far, I'd say Spy Family absolutely deserves to be, still remembered among those shows.
And with that, I think we have come to an end of this episode of Castaway Anime, one of the shorter ones, but as predicted.
A shorty but a goodie.
Yeah, you're welcome for the short episode after the combined near 9-hour episode that was the fall cast. Thanks, Toto. It's okay, he'll never hear this.
Probably not. And with that, I think we're about wrapped up.
Yep, so that concludes this episode of Castaway Anime. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, head on down to the comments, tell us what you think about Spy X Family. Do you think it's slow right now? Do you think it's actually the best it's ever been? Do you think, is there some epic stuff over the horizon? Hopefully the show picks up in the narrative. Let us know all your thoughts down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more episodes of Castaway Anime and other videos. check out Crunchy's channel, check out the Tomazaki vid that he posted recently. He's finally uploading again.
Hell yeah, I should have something else. I scheduled it for, I think, the 23rd, but I'm probably gonna finish it before then, honestly. And also look forward
I think this will be out before that comes out.
Yeah.
Because I'm having this one go up this very Saturday.
And also be sure to look forward to new content, presumably on this channel, that Neon's going to be making once the new year begins.
Yeah, I've got stuff cooking for 2023, and I've even got, if all goes as planned, I'm knocking on the wood the hardest I can right now. I've got a Splatoon 3 video in the works, projected for this Sunday. Like I'm hard sticking to that. It has to come out this Sunday. I've got all the footage recorded. I just got to write the script, record it, and then edit around it.
So this Sunday, you're saying?
Yes. It's not gonna be a long video. It's gonna be like 5 minutes.
Okay,
but
so
I'm hoping to make it entertaining.
All right, so here, knock on wood.
That sounds like metal. It sounds like that hurts.
Not too bad. Maybe if I hit it twice as hard, it'll hurt.
Well, that brings us to the end of Castaway Anime. I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Crunchy Bagels.
And you'll see us next time.